£2.5 week ਦਾ dinner money ਮਿਲਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਮੈਂ ਉਹ £2.5 ਸਿੱਧਾ record buy ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ so rest of the week it doesn't matter ਰੋਟੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਖਾਣੀ ਸਕੂਲ ਲੈ it's okay ਘਰ ਵੀ ਥੋੜਾ parents ਵੀ ਕਹਿ ਲਾਪੇ ਹੁਣ ਤੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਦੇਸੀ ਗਾਣਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਥੋੜਾ ਪੰਗੇ ਲੈ and I was like no I don't want to do that man I don't like Indian music I don't like desi soul you got the youngsters, obviously, they need to be guided in the right direction because it kind of goes off the rails with some of the lyrics and stuff, you know. And a lot of people are singing and talking aggressively as well. And that's not good for the scene. Finally, my message, because when I went way back in the days, I used to tell the music companies in India, why don't you put remixes in of the movie as the films have been done? They're like, what? Never. ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਦਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜੇ ਆਹ ਟ੍ਰੈਂਡ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਜੇ ਇਦਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ I pretty much make my own trend I can't redo that song again it won't be the same I mean can Amitabh Bachchan make Sholay again
he did actually
did he yeah was there a Sholay too was there
I think it was Sholay Sholay now you're back in Pakistan what are you looking for now
same thing man good food and good singers
one thing Badshah needs to do more
what Honey's doing
oh no Assalamualaikum Nusrat and welcome to Excuse Me with Ahmad Ali Butt as if you didn't know. Ladies and gentlemen, we always try to bring in interesting people on this podcast and when we're talking about today's celebrity, well, he really needs no introduction. If you're a late 2000 baby or early 90s, if you've heard Bollywood music, then you know that there was a shift in music in the late 90s and early 2000s and that was when the remix culture took off in the world and the person who redefined remix music and the person who took that music to next level was someone very unknown at that time but he made a ripple so big that he became one of the biggest DJs in the world and today after 20 years he's back in Lahore. Please welcome the guy who redefined remixes and the DJ culture, the one and only Bally Sagoo. Pajikia, how are you?
How you doing, brother, man? Good to be here.
You have Benjamin Button syndrome, huh? You're aging backwards, but
it's just good lighting, I think.
No, but welcome to Lahore.
Thanks, man. It's good to be back after so long, man.
You're back after 20 years.
Well, actually, it's more like 31 years because that's when I came to record Rising from the East, which obviously had my Dil Cheez and all those sort of tracks that I recorded, yeah. And that was in 96. But yeah, 20 years ago, I came for some other stuff, some shows and things.
Yeah.
But the recordings I did were, way back in 31 years ago.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that when Bali performed way back in 2012, that was because we invited him over to Pakistan and he did our shows and he was very kind enough to come to Pakistan.
It was 2011.
2011, yeah. 9/11 the baad hi te concert cancel hoye si. Sanu pata lag gaya si. But it's good to see you, my friend. Where have you been?
Been all over the world doing a lot of different things, man. Obviously doing a lot of different stuff in different countries. I don't spend too much time in the UK from quite a few years now, so I go backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of like always in different parts of the world, and yeah.
Is it true that you've shifted to Bali?
Bali and Bali.
Yeah,
I mean, I spend a lot of time in Indonesia. I mean, I love Southeast Asia. I've always loved that part of the world, Singapore and places like that. And Australia with Makavi Janda. So yeah, I do spend a lot of time in Bali. Indonesia. So everyone was like Bali and Bali. I said, yeah, it's named after me, so I don't mind.
Or growing up in the UK, and you had some major influences from all over the Punjabi culture. Congratulations, the Punjabi culture is doing great. It's the biggest thing, right?
It was always doing great, but now people have woke up and finally realized that it's great music, and obviously the messages come across.
But you have to feel proud because,
of course,
you were the person who brought that Punjabi element to the mainstream at that time.
Well, I mean, you got to remember, I was making music before you heard of me. I was making music in the late 70s. I was doing music in school. I was doing music in college. So it didn't happen overnight. So mera start to, my journey was mixtapes in the streets and outside college and school. I bought records in the 70s,
Oh, yeah. What was it like in the UK at that time?
Well, I mean, it was a struggle because we had a lot of racism. We had a lot of issues growing up with people calling us names and picking on me. And, मैं सरदार सीगा school ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ and the Gores used to pick on me. Because there wasn't a lot of Asians then, in those days in the school and the place I grew up in. But I'm glad I had that upbringing because that made me obviously fall into the music scene. But I was always more into the black music scene.
No.
The Asian Desi music scene came later.
Your father was
So,
also into music.
Yeah, my father come from Africa and he was hardcore into music, the black and white movies and film songs. And he was in one of the first bands in the UK as well in the 60s called the Masafas. So they were an instrumental band.
Yeah.
And they even made a record in the late 60s as well. And so yes, I did accordion, harmonium. My dad had a banjo as well. So yeah, he was in a band. So that always had an influence on me. But his musical choice of things what he was listening to wasn't really me. I mean, he was hardcore into the Beatles, Elvis Presley.
Oh, yeah.
Other than Bollywood.
Growing in the UK. So
Yeah, but I wasn't into Elvis Presley or the Beatles. Mera main influence mainly was a lot of black music. I was heavy into the disco scene. I was heavy into the reggae scene. My music collection, I started buying
Grandmaster
vinyls.
Flash, something like
Yeah, well, that came later.
No.
But when I started buying vinyls in the 70s, my early collection was like The Harder They Come from Jimmy Cliff. And then it started going from there. And then the thing that changed my life was Saturday Night Fever. When that came out in 77, I went out and bought the vinyl. It was a double vinyl.
The Bee Gees.
And I was just like, this music, the film was a whole different world itself, but the music, the kind of sound, my God, this is what I want to, be making, man. And so मैं टेपा लेके join करके ना मैं remix आप ही कर देना सीखा टेपा दे होते हैं. And I was cutting the tapes and joining them and doing all these different things, which was called a loop.
Yeah.
So I was doing this and I got better at it. I'm like, I wish there was a way in just increasing this part. So tape dete one by one. The quality was dropping in, the hiss was there. Put the Dolby on, make the hiss go away. And I was making all these stuff just for fun. And then at school, I was playing it, and I was playing music in my classroom, and the kids were just doing this kind of thing in the class. That's called being a DJ. There wasn't even a word called being a DJ. So I'm talking like 1976, 77. And so come 78, my music collection started growing from there. I started buying the Jacksons and, Michael Jackson and Off the Wall and reggae, Bob Marley and stuff. There was no Indian influence. I was not listening to. My mom and dad were always, ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ Bollywood music ਵੱਜਦਾ ਆ, Punjabi ਗਾਣੇ ਵੱਜਦੇ ਆ. But I wasn't relating.
Do you remember that moment that you discovered the chord? Okay, that's the chord.
Well, I think
because the black music, that influence, but when you broke into the market, that was hardcore Bollywood. That was...
Yeah, but that came years later after I was experimenting, you see, because I started selling mixtapes outside my college in the rain, man. I was standing outside and I got famous on the street. And half of my friends were always coming up to me like drug deals, Hey, man, can you sell me a mixtape, man? Can you sell me a mixtape? So I'd open my rucksack and say, yeah, what do you want? I got reggae, I got disco, KJ, and I'm like selling mixtapes in my rucksack. I used to have
like a narcos DJ.
Yeah, and I'm like,
I got your stuff, man.
Tepa tiyar karta, raat nu loki homework karde ready, I was like, I was never into the studying, and obviously it was, I go to college, I'd go to school, but my interest is always like, I was always disturbing people in the class. I was just like, I can't sit still if I'm talking to you now. I'm just like...
But that must have been frustrating.
It's always
at that
there,
time.
yeah.
Were you making good money on the streets?
I was making... On a good week, I could make £2.50.
Okay.
But that was good money then, because slowly it grew to £5 a week. And I would be selling 2 tapes, 3 tapes. This week I'm selling 4 tapes. Then it slowly it grew. And then I was getting requests from people. Acha manu ek disco tape chahiye yaar. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll do a disco. Or I want a hip hop tape, or I want a R&B, or whatever style it was. So I would just get my list ready and say, okay, this is today's prescription. So I'll just get it ready. Tape join karke C90, 90 minutes. So it costs more for a C90 than it is 60. What that means, 60-minute tape, 90-minute tape. So I'd get my songs ready, get them in a line, get them in a sync, and mix them down onto cassettes. Go back to college and sell them outside my college door in Handsworth, Soho Road.
Oh, nice.
So this is going way back in the days, but this is predominantly Gora, Kala music.
So when did the shift came about?
So as I got more and more popular within school, within my friend circle, and at college. My family started also saying to me, why don't you try doing something with, apna Indian Desi music, Bollywood music, or some Asian Desi sounds and stuff. And at first thing I thought, no, I'm not going to do anything like that because I don't like it. It's not the kind of thing I'm into really. And I'm more into the mainstream stuff and the kind of music I like growing up with, which is predominantly black music. So yeah, and then my mom and dad were asking me to do the same thing. My sister was asking me. So I started listening to some Punjabi traditional songs on the cassettes, like my mom and dad were playing in the back.
Alap, I think the Alap was the biggest thing at that time.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, there was a lot of great Bhangra bands that were in the UK bubbling around, and when we go to a wedding, and I used to listen to some of these songs, and I'm like going to the weddings, I'm like, okay, this is obviously what people are liking, man.
Yeah.
And obviously, can I put a twist on there, or can I do something? And then I just went back into my room and into my studio, and I'm like bouncing one cassette and bouncing this and seeing what this sounds like with that, and it was quite easy for me to do. And I thought, okay, let me see if I can do that with this and that with this, and then I made this kind of a concoction of what I feel sounds good, played it to my few of my friends, and they were like, yeah man, this sounds pretty good, and I was like, okay, cool, let me just turn up the bass on there, let me just turn up the beats and maybe EQ the vocal down a bit or whatever, and then see if it sounds all right. And then I started playing it out, and then I sent it to a radio station to get played, and then the mix got played on the radio, and everyone was calling the radio stations like, what was that track, and what was that mega mix, and
what was the first song that hit the
basically it was a medley of songs that I mixed up to which was featuring the UK Punjabi songs.
Okay.
So the kind of wedding songs that were going around from the bands like the Hiras and Premis and the Lives, which are the bands that we grew up with, and it was a typical British Bhangra sound, Punjabi sound, which we started really getting into heavily. And then all of a sudden, it opened the doors, and I thought, okay, maybe I can do a bit more of this and a bit more of that. And then my first break came when Oriental Star Agencies gave me the multi-track for Malkeet Singh's Hey Jamalo Tu Takatu Takatu.
Yeah.
So they gave me the multi-track, and they said, go into the studio and see if you can strip this down, take the vocal, because they own the copyright to the track. And I said, okay, let me make it into something where I feel good. And it was the first time I can get a vocal and separate the music and then put it onto a new sequencer.
Is that where your love for the vocals came about? Because you're very heavily inspired by good vocals.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, as the years progressed, obviously I got better at my craft, and then making fresh new music was my thing now, because I didn't just do remixes. I produced fresh tracks. I produce fresh music. So, but it was a journey from start, coming from the remix culture, from the DJ background culture, because I'm a producer at the end of the day, and also DJ. But my main love, obviously, is to sit in the studio and make music and record singers and make various styles of music. And that's where my roots has always been, the black music scene. And then all I did was I started mixing the apna Desi culture.
When you entered that market, when the first Dil Cheez Hai Kya Jaana dropped, and that shook everyone. I mean, that just went and this is like no internet at that time. And this
I mean that's about sales, man. We were selling lots of records, we were mainstream. Dil Cheez was the first mainstream Indian song. I mean, it was number 12 in the billboards. Full Asian Desi song, like not watered down in any way, you know what I mean? So having a Desi song in the charts was a big deal, because opera music wasn't crossing over, whether it was Bollywood or wherever, But what we were doing was we were trying to get it charted, and obviously going into Top of the Pops and the mainstream in 96. Of course, there was no internet, man. We didn't have all the social.
Who sang Dil Cheez at that time?
Shabnam Ji
and
S.O. Sadiq wrote the track. It came out on Sony Music, and those vocals were recorded here.
A lot of people don't know that.
Bali came to Lahore.
Bali came to Lahore to record most of the vocals.
Yeah, the whole Rising from the East.
Javed Bashir.
The Rising from the East album. It was basically me, Rising from the East. I mean, my journey began in the East, and obviously I'm living in the West. So it was a perfect title for my new album, which was a fresh album. There weren't remixes. And so I came to Pakistan in 96. But don't forget, before that, I'd already worked with the legend, the late Khan Saab. That was in 91.
And you said Chura Lia
Chura Lia was in 94. So yeah, that was Bollywood flashback.
Yeah.
So, you fast forwarded to like quite a lot of albums I already made before I came to Pakistan.
But that was your original. Most
Yeah.
of them were before that just remixes.
Yeah, well, cover versions. They were
Yeah.
covers. Chura Lia is
The
not a remix,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
It's a cover version.
Yeah.
So Bollywood Flashback was cover versions, and it was a flashback at the Bollywood film industry. So in 94.
Till Cheese was your first original
Yeah,
song.
so basically in 94 I did Flashback, and then I started working on original songs, original news material, because the other stuff was UK Punjabi songs.
Yeah.
And a lot of covers and remixes. And then when I did Flashback, I came to India, and then I got different singers to sing classic Bollywood songs. So I thought I'll cover the classics, and Chura Lia was one of my favorites from growing up as well. So I thought this is the list of songs. So the principle was to go to India, record these vocals, and then go back to the UK and do my magic. And it was a mainstream album. It was on Sony Music. Straight after that, I did the next album, which I thought I want to make a fresh album, because I did fresh albums from there onwards as well. I did a lot of new songs from my Both Sharabdiyas and, you know, these Hanji albums. Those were all brand new tracks with brand new writers and brand new singers.
There was a lot of backlash also, because you were an outsider when you entered Bollywood, and of course you were stepping on some big toes at that time, because they were like, "Eh, ki karda pe, te remix ka hai," started and all that. How was it entering that market, being an outsider?
Well, I mean, at first people are always saying that, what are you doing remixing classic songs? It's not going to be good. It's not going to sound good. You can't compete with the originals and blah, 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 blah. And I didn't give a hoot, man. I didn't care, because I thought, first of all, I'm making the new fresh sound, man, for the different people out there. I thought, you know, it needs a revamp. It needs to be appealing to a new audience, because don't forget, I crossed over to mainstream people.
Yeah.
People that didn't listen to Desi music were now listening to Desi music. A lot of the youngsters growing up in the UK, they completely didn't identify with Asian Desi music from around the world, because mom and dad were listening to it, and it was that kind of a sound.
Yeah.
We needed, growing up in the UK, we needed a new sound. But also the people abroad, same as Canada, America.
But then Bollywood's so competitive, and a lot of music producers over there, they don't like outside interference.
Yeah, no, but you know what? They had to learn, didn't they? They needed to know what was going on. You know, you need to see what's happening globally. We didn't have the power of the internet. So you know what? We were bringing all these different vibes. Now you can see what's happening around the world, and that influences everyone. Hence why the scene has become so huge right now. I mean, people making music from every corner of the world, you know, whether it's, you know, this style or that style or this or that. And in those days, it wasn't as easy as that, you know. But I think growing up in the UK made all the difference. You know, we have a great scene out there. We've always had some good music coming from that part of the world. And now it's obviously happening from every left, right, and center now, you know.
It is. It's true. Working in Bollywood, working in Pakistan at the same time. And you've done most of your work in Bollywood also, but you keep coming back to Pakistan to find new vocals and everything. How do you differentiate the Bollywood music, the Indian music, from the Pakistani music?
I treat it all the same way, man. Whatever sounds good to me is always sounds good to me. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't bother me where it comes from. I'm more into like, that sounds good, this sounds good, she sounds good, he sounds good. And that's always I've always been. I mean, I'm always, yeah, like you say, I'm always looking for new vocalists. I love working with new singers. Of course, I've worked with the best of the best. I'm very fortunate that I've had great singers grace my microphone, and I've worked with some amazing vocalists.
Yeah.
And to me, they're all great singers. You know, the reason why a lot of my songs sound good is because I've got some good singers, and that's what makes the song sounds great, really. So it's always a matter about some good music, some good singers, and that's the key, really. But I go everywhere for vocals, man. I mean, I would fly to the end of the world to get some good singers. It doesn't bother me who the person is or who the person isn't, really. And even languages, you know. My playlist, like all my friends are always like, what language is that, man? And what kind of song is that, man? And I'm always like, I have no idea, but it sounds cool, man. I'm like, yeah, man, this sounds pretty good. So, you know, I'm always experimental in that way. My ear is always very much, you know, I mean, my Japanese Ganes we get there, you know, and to me, doing all these different, first of all, music doesn't have a language, does it really? So why would you even say language? You know, it's pretty much universal, man. It's for everyone. So either you do like it or you don't like it, you know, but I'm still as hungry as ever, you know. I'm always, can you sing? Yeah, well, can you sing me something? Hey, man, can we do something? You know?
Yeah, I know. And let's talk about you transitioning and the Bollywood music and the social media has completely changed the music industry now. First, you needed those labels. You need the distribution out there. You don't need that anymore. It's all about views now. Every producer out there, every DJ is their own producer, their own label and everything. Do you feel the market has saturated? Because everybody is a DJ now.
Well, I wouldn't say everyone's a DJ now. Everyone's trying to be a DJ now is the right thing to say, I think. But there's a big difference between good and bad. There's a big difference between a good singer and a bad singer. You'll always get every kind of a person out there. But of course, the scene has become massive. And as you go, females are on the scene now. It's got so huge now that everybody's coming on board now. So the good things will always shine through, as always, like good DJs, good producers. And there's a lot of good bedroom producers as well. So there's a lot of music being made in houses now that didn't get made before because you didn't have the way technology. You don't need to go to a big fat studio anymore now, unless you're going to just put a bit of polish on the song.
Yeah,
you can make some great music at home now with a bit of good software. More importantly is you've got to have your ear to the ground, really. You've got to be very different. I mean, a lot of people are doing the same thing, unfortunately. I think people just want to copy one another, or they want overnight fame, and they're more worried about what video, kedi gaddi video chakni, and they're thinking 20 steps ahead, which is, we didn't have music videos back in the days. It was pretty much what you hear on the radio would be judging how good your song was. And I think that's the way it should be anyway. But now, of course, the trend is there. Videos are a big thing. But you've seen it. You can make some very simple videos today that go viral, and some expensive videos don't go viral. Yeah. So, it's a combination of different things, I think.
Where we're talking about Punjabi music redefining the world music right now, there's also that element that Punjabi rap has become more violent. It has become more aggressive. Lately, we saw that with Sidhu Moosewala and everything also. Do you think that element of the gang violence need to be affiliated with the rap music always, especially when it comes to Punjabi music?
I think there's the guns and the violence and all this kind of stuff. I don't believe in that kind of thing, first of all. I've never been into the whole, the guns and violence thing. And it doesn't really push the right message across. Yeah. But, you got the youngsters, obviously, I think they need to be guided in the right direction, because it kind of goes off the rails with some of the lyrics and stuff, and a lot of people are singing and talking aggressively as well. And that's not good for the scene. But there's always some good stuff as well. There's always some good, because I like all types of vibes of songs and, tracks and stuff. I don't make music that I don't like. I don't make it for the sake of, if that's the trend people want to hear. I pretty much just do what I do, what I enjoy making, and my style of what I make or I'm involved in is what I believe in. I've always done the same thing. I pretty much make my own trends. I do.
Do you choose your artists? I mean, we lately seen Honey Singh making a comeback, Badshah making that Honey Singh and Badshah controversy and all that, and people cash in on it from both ways and all. Have you ever been approached by these two to work with them?
Well, no, I haven't. I mean, everyone's doing their own thing, and no, I've not been approached by them too. They're doing their thing. They're doing well in their own world.
Yeah, but a lot of people do that for the views also. Okay, let's make a controversy and all that. But you've never been a part of that.
Oh, no. You know what? It don't bother me at all, man.
But you're one of the OGs.
I just do. I've been in the game for a long time.
Yeah.
So, what more can I say, man? I mean, I don't really care about anything other than music, man. I mean, everyone that knows me, I'm just always got my headphones on, and I'm always just doing my own thing. And man, sitting in my own little world, staring at the ocean with my laptop, that's just me chilling and making some good beats, some good vibes, really. Because, that's what I've been put on the planet to do, man. I think, I wasn't cut out to be a doctor or a wakil or a accountant so my parents can brag to the neighbors,
Yeah.
It's never been. What excites me is what I hear, and pretty much that's it, really. I don't really even follow more of the scene so much, like aajkal ki chalda tera. I don't even recognize half of the young artists today, honestly.
You don't listen to new music?
Not really. I mean, I don't really follow the scene so much. And so if I hear something, I just judge it from what I hear. Or if I hear a track, I'm thinking, that's pretty cool. Or that's a good song. Who's that? This is a pretty good track. Just like the other foreign songs I listen to from different parts of the world, I've always been into world music. I've always been into global music, and I always will be. I love Sufi stuff, and I love all the mellow stuff. My albums always have some mellow vibes on there. People are like, your mellow tracks are always heavy, man, like the bass. And how do you make the mellow tracks yet sound so cool in the car? Because I still have that. I can make a really slow song still sound pretty heavy just by simplicity, like even a nice simple B line or just a drum pattern that sounds good. And I've always done that with my mellow stuff. And I'll always do those type of tracks. Of course, a lot of people say, "Paji bhangde gaane bhi chalne chahiye." And I'm like, not 24 hours, 7 days a week. But yeah, we want Gurnaish Mata, we want Aja Lachale, and okay, I know what you want. But there's all types of audiences. There's the ones that always say, we want more Chura Lia, we want more Dil Cheez, and we want these Aapki Nazrons, and and I'm like, okay, you like this vibe, don't you? Yes. And then I got the ones that say we want this kind of style. And then I got the reggae ones, and of course everyone knows I'm a big reggae lover, man.
Yeah.
So then there's the ones like India didn't really go off on reggae, for some reason, whereas we really went off on reggae, you know what I mean?
The US adapted more, but I think India has always been very towards that Bollywood sound. They want to keep that.
But I mean, I still make Bollywood reggae songs. I still make Arabic reggae songs. You know what I mean? I just like that vibe. I just love certain styles of music because I grew up with them. I mean, heavily Bob Marley influenced on me. But yeah, I mean, all I think is like, how would this Desi song sound on this vibe? Whether it's an R&B or whether it's a dance track or a techno track or something very hard house or something, and that's how I experiment in the studio, because my setup has always been like that. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what style I'm going to do something. Most of the time I end up stretching the vocals, or I pitch the song up a little bit or down, you know what I mean? I when I'm recording something, it's not in my mind, like, because I completely change it. Like if I got your vocal now, I might think, vocal मैं overseas तो लेके आ रहे हैं, and I've gone back in the studio, I'm like, मैंने थोड़ा vocal drag हो रहा है. So I'll just pitch it up and I'll just stretch the vocal or something. I'm thinking, this sounds better at this scale now. And then I start putting the music together, because I put the music together like that. And then I'm thinking, okay, now let me change this or add some BDs or put some chorus in there or whatever. That's my process normally. I'm like, sing me something, and then I'm like, okay, but by the time I've recorded it, I'm thinking it should have been faster, or it should have been slower, or it should have been a slightly different scale. But it's too late. You've gone abroad and you come back with those vocals.
Yeah.
So I then do that little bit of like, okay, let me just tweak it a little bit. So there's a lot that goes into some of these tracks. They're not what you hear. They were made maybe on a different style, even like it was made with a doll or something.
Yeah.
Now it's completely got no dolls on there. It's got no tabla, dolok, or whatever.
Do you work with live musicians?
Yeah, that's my main thing, man. I love working with live musicians. I always work with strings or orchestra sounds, and then of course the Indian instruments like a flute or something, or a tabla dolok, or a sitar, or anything desi or whatever, or tumbi, whatever. So yeah, and then maybe some foreign, like in Southeast, I'm getting local musicians that don't even know the language. Can you play me something on this vocal? Whether you're with a harp sound or something.
But for you, vocal comes first, or is it the beat that comes?
No, the beat comes when I have the vocal.
Okay.
So I've got loads of beats, I've got loads of songs, I've got loads of tracks. But really, what the way I work is like, if I've got a vocal, I'm like, right, let me see what kind of vibe this will work on. And then I start experimenting. It takes me months to make a song, man. It takes a long time because I'm constantly changing it.
What was the longest track that you worked on?
Oh, God, by far, Chura Lia, man. 3 months. Yeah. 12 weeks down the road, and then there's a song. And then some songs I got made quicker. What's quicker? A couple of days even. But I don't make songs in a couple of days. It takes me a couple of days to get a right beat or something. I don't rush it. Why do I need to rush it? Like people say, you got to make an album every week or every month or something,
Working with India, and that's a fast food market. I mean, every day they release like 15 to 20 new songs out there and everything. And
how many of them are good though?
Exactly.
There's a lot coming out, but only some of them shine. Purana time chale gaya, where it was always cracking a new number every day now. They just churn them out regularly now, left, right, and center. And they all sound the same.
Yeah, they all sound the same. But where do you think, because now the South Indian market is doing amazing.
Yeah, I've always
movies
loved that.
big.
Yeah, man.
movies, the music is
the
different.
sound quality.
It's
is-
completely different.
Yeah, but I've been listening to that kind of stuff for many years, I mean, all of my friends who are close to me, they know this guy is always listening to some crazy random stuff from around the world that no one's listening to. So I'm always listening to what's happening across the pond, man. I don't really want to know what's happening in my own town even, you know what I mean? I just want to know what's happening around the world, or be interested in know ਉੱਥੇ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਮਿਊਜ਼ੀਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਆ, ਉੱਥੇ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਾਊਂਡ ਮਿਲਦਾ।
ਮਗਰ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਅੱਛਾ ਯਾਰ he's doing so much experimental, he's not doing mainstream, because mainstream is more like we want this commercial, we want this commercial,
You do
this
what
commercial.
he's doing.
Exactly.
Because I mean, people will say, why don't you make something? First of all, don't say make something, because I can't do that. So, and also that person may be doing that. So why should you do that? But the most thing I always get people say to me is, oh, Bally, you got to make another song like that. I'm like, I couldn't make another song like that, really, if I tried. The amount of people that always say to me, we want another one of these, we want another one of those, we want another jaana, or we want another this or that. Okay, so you talk about that kind of vibe. I can't redo that song again. It won't be the same. I mean, kind of Amitabh Bachchan make Chura Lia again. It's not going to
He
work.
did actually.
Did he? Yeah. I don't know.
He made Chole with Ram Gopal Verma. It didn't work out.
I don't even know about that.
Yeah.
I don't even. Was there a Chole too? Was there? Okay.
No, I think it was Chole.
Well,
Gan Chole.
it's a difficult one to go and step on that, saying, it's that moment in time when people discuss my tracks, and I've got a hell of a lot of songs. They start talking about memories of their childhood or when they were growing up and all that. I'm like, that song really meant a lot to you at that time. That's what now you've grown. I'm like, I start reminiscing. Like, I start thinking, what were the best times? Like, what was the best era for music? For me, this isn't the best era for music. Of course not. For me, the best time for me musically was the 80s.
80s has to be, because
For me, the sound, the keyboards, that whole vibe.
the pop industry in 80s, the international music scene was amazing. You have,
But if you ask the kids today, they're probably, well, most of them say, no, wait, man, that wasn't the best time. So you say, I mean, it's because we grew up that time.
Yeah.
But if you sit back and listen to those tracks and what's happening now, there's no competition, man. That time was just a whole different world. And I'm so glad I got that upbringing.
Yeah.
Because that comes through my music. I have 80s vibes in my songs, 90s vibes.
The 80s are coming back in a huge.
Well, finally,
way.
that people are listening. Like, oh, we got to make some disco, or we got to make some
even
dance.
Yeah, even if you listen to The Weeknd, you listen to Diljit, all of their stuff is very heavily 80s influenced.
Because the synth sounds, the whole analog vibe of those keyboards. I mean, I've been doing this all my life, man.
Yeah.
There's that whole,
I thought there should be a movie on your life. Yeah.
It's got to be censored then, yeah.
What was that point that made you realize, okay, because like I said, you blew up and everybody just wanted you at that time. And then after a while, that phase, it moves on. And then the new sound comes in, and then the new sound comes in, and one replaces the other and the other and on. How did you keep yourself relevant through all that time?
It's like anything, really. I mean, you make music and you make music and you just keep making music. You keep traveling as well. So that's all I do. That's all I've ever done. So it doesn't really make any difference. Like, my point is, like, let the music speak for itself. As always, my tracks are still standing the time. They still stand the test. When people hear some of my songs today, they say, did you make this 30 years ago? I'm like, no, actually, that was 33 years ago. When I did the whole Khan Saab album, it was a massive project for me in my early days.
Did he reach out to you?
Because the Oriental Star agencies were my music label, and they were also responsible for Khan Saab's label. And so they said, would you like to work with Nusrat Ali Khan? And I was like, can we get him into the studio and can we do this project? And obviously it was arranged. We got the vocals. I recorded his vocals in the UK, and I told Khan Saab, gaane chahiye diya, idda de gaane chahiye diya. And as always, I would say some slow songs, some medium tempo songs, and some up tempo songs, because I'm going to end up changing everything anyway.
Yeah.
So kalik de naal sare gaane one take de vich kar dite.
And I would take for a day or two.
No, it took an afternoon, man. Kha ke bas idda kebab shop chale gaya roti khan.
No.
So it was like that was, what the hell just happened, man? So we recorded all the vocals in just one Sunday afternoon. And I was like, in one take as well. And so I thought, okay, now what? And you know what? What was amazing was, obviously we were working on Atari, very small, basic computer. And click and all. There was not even any production. There was no music. It was just on a click.
And you recorded it?
Yes. Just with one note, just to give him the pitch. And because I did not know which track, what style, ki karna, kede style nu. I worked afterwards on each track, and I thought, okay, this track, this one. But I told Khan Sahib, I said, hey, do me lots of alaps and sargams, because I'm going to have a field day with those. Yeah. And I did. I pasted them where I felt they worked and how long they should be. And don't forget, in those days, songs didn't need to be 2 minutes or something. Like, आजकल तो मतलब गाने बहुत छोटे होते ना.
No, yeah.
मेरे गाने ना 7 मिनट दे, 6 मिनट दे, you know.
Those are more like epic tales.
Yeah, it was a story. Every song, I mean, I don't like radio mixes anyway. It's like you're squeezing everything in unless it's radio and radio play. Hence why we had 7-inch edits and stuff. So I was totally free, man, to do what I want. And that's why I love working. And then obviously I named it Magic Touch. I thought that's the best name for this album. And it turned out such a huge project that it was mainstream. It was going in all the fashion shows. It crossed over to Bollywood. It was playing in everyone's car sound system. You had to replace your subwoofers, man, just for the beeline. And this is in 91, very early in my career. And so when Khan Sahib obviously heard it, he went mad. He was like, this sounds amazing. So he got, "Ja tu Pakistan aauga na, tu mere ghar aake na roti khani, I'm going to take care of you, man." And he did. When I came to Lahore, I had a really great time. We had, we had a good memories.
Now you're back in Pakistan. What are you looking for now?
Same thing, man. Good food and good singers. And tell me about it. This food here is amazing.
Oh yeah, food is.
So yeah.
What have you tried? Have you tried the new places now?
I mean, there's one dish you have with the dal and the meat in there. What's it called?
Harissa?
Yeah.
Oh, halim.
Is it? Yeah, it's basically dal and it's got meat. It's like chopped up in there, and it's like it just looks like torka dal.
It's harissa.
Yeah.
With small kebabs in it.
No, this is just small. It looked more like tari.
That's a tari.
Yeah.
Oh, nihari.
Yeah, it could be.
You're talking about nihari.
Yeah, I was like amazing, man.
Spicy.
Yeah, everything's spicy, man.
Yeah.
And it was like amazing because some of these dishes we don't get. I'm not seeing them in our normal restaurants back home.
No, you get nihari everywhere in London.
Acha, but I was like, when I go to my friend's house, they won't even have these dishes, you know. So yeah, I was like, there's some amazing food here, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the film music. Are you listening to some film music?
What, you mean like Bollywood film music?
Yeah, Bollywood.
Got taste on that, to be honest with you. You know, I don't listen to a lot of film music.
I personally think the film music has died.
I mean, when you say film music, you mean the Punjabi songs, because that's what you get nowadays. It's Punjabi songs in films now.
It's like वो पहले होता सी ना कि यार पहले एक item song चाहिए था. वो ना कि यार वो एक Punjabi song चाहिए.
That finally my message, because when I went back, way back in the days, I used to tell the music companies in India, why don't you put remixes in of the movie as the films have been done? They're like, what? Never. I'm like, well, you should. Because it's the DJs that will take it to the next level to a new audience, man.
Yeah. And
they will endorse your movie, they'll endorse your track, and let them do it officially. And they didn't want to do it in the early days. Now, as you know, the remix carries the movie now. So now we get the stems and we can do whatever we want now. And the people now realize that, you know, there are some serious people that can make some good mixes and make an okay song sound amazing.
Yeah.
And that's why our video is stretch kardan there. So the dance routing is really going mad. But it happens now in films. And finally, but I also used to say, put a Punjabi song in Bollywood films. And they didn't want to do that in the early days.
Now it's everywhere.
Now they can't do a movie without a Punjabi song, man. Yeah. Finally. Yeah. Message is received.
All right. We have some excuse me questions. If you want to answer them, you can. If you don't want to answer them, you can say, Badshah, excuse me.
Badshah, excuse me.
All right.
Let's go.
Yeah, really. All right, G. One thing I will never do.
Give up music and become a vegetarian.
I love meat.
I can't become a vegetarian. And I can't give up music. So there you go. There's two things there.
All right. One thing that I would love to try.
Flying a plane.
Huh?
Yeah.
Ola jazz.
No. I'm actually saying flying a plane like a small plane. I would love to fly the plane because I'm always like, wonder what it feels like.
Okay, all right. एक अपना गाना जेड़ा मैं रीडू फिर तो करना चाहना.
So many songs, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. I mean, you know, it's a hard one.
Or you would want somebody else to sing on it, maybe. I would love to do a song with some new vocals.
Oh man. Today's singers? You mean like somebody singing
Yeah.
my songs?
Yeah.
Maybe Diljit singing both Ala Sharab Diya because he says he doesn't want to sing about Sharab. Maybe he'll sing mine. Both Ala Sharab Diya.
Yeah. All right. One producer that I listen to nowadays.
None really. Honestly speaking.
All right.
Not nowadays, no.
All right. One rapper I want to work with.
Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick. Did you see the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Oh, it was brutal, man.
Pretty mad.
Yeah, it was amazing.
But I still wouldn't reject working with him.
Yeah, of course, man. All right. The biggest insecurity I have.
Losing my magical touch, maybe. I don't know. Losing my love for music, even. You know, maybe that's it. Not having the taste for music anymore or not wanting to make music anymore. So that's pretty much the only thing I would think of.
All right. Have I ever made a bad song because I got paid more?
Not really, no. I've turned down songs that I don't like, even though I've been paid for them. And I've done it, but I've not released it or something like that. Yeah, I've done that a couple of times. I've made some songs that I don't want to release, so I just don't release them. When I make an album, I record more songs that's on the album, and I've never made an album with just there's 10 tracks or 8, 9, 10. I've recorded 13, 14 songs that have made the cut, but that's always been my journey from day one. Like my new project now, I'll record extra songs. I think a lot of artists will do that. Then they'll say, okay, this is going to be the album. This is what's going to make it.
Do you have any songs left from that cut?
I've got songs, on my ADATs, on my multi-tracks, I've got songs that I've never got released. I've recorded more vocals than I need, but you have to. How can you go out and make a 10, 12 track album and record 10, 12 tracks?
Yeah.
You've got to record 15 tracks. And it's like any singer-songwriter will do the same thing. Then they'll sit down and say, right, this should make the cut. It's like a movie, isn't it? You'll shoot all these scenes, but some of those scenes may not make the cut of the film.
All right. One thing I love about Diljit's song.
Catchy.
All right. One thing I like about Honey's, Yo Honey.
Oh, I mean, the guy just comes back for more.
All right. One thing Badshah needs to do more.
What Honey's doing?
You just started a beef, man.
Well, you want me to be honest, are you?
Yeah.
Well, that's right then, isn't it?
It's at the lowest point of my career.
Not becoming a doctor, I suppose, but I'm glad because my mom and dad really wanted me to be something like that. But I think I always say I made them proud.
So yeah, you have. One thing that I should do less.
Worry about, does it sound good? Well, it's like when you're making a song, you're always like, is the vocal too low? Is the vocal too loud? Is the bass line too low? Is it too loud? Does it sound good? Does this need that? Because I am a perfectionist. When I do my songs, I give it a road test on everything from the Gaddi to the headphones and laptop. And you know what I mean? I've even got a small little mono speaker. But yeah, I'm always pushing. Like if I listen to some of my songs now, I'm always like, that vocal should have been a bit, maybe 1 dB louder or something. Or this should have been less, or that part should have been longer. So, you know, that's just me picking on my own work or something, you know?
One vocalist that really impressed me.
Oh, man, there's not one, there's so many. Definitely Arijit. Yeah. I'm a big Arijit fan, man. I love his stuff. Zubain Nautiyallah, you know, these people. Rahat, of course. There are some great vocalists out there, you know what I mean? There's no doubt. But yeah, I mean, you know, of course, like I said, the guy works in the Pizza Hut, man, Pizza Land. If he's good, I'll work with him, you know? It's all about good singers, isn't it?
All right. My biggest fan moment?
There's been so many. When Amitabh Bachchan said, I love your music, Bali. Sharing the stage with Michael Jackson. I don't know, I mean, getting congratulated for taking my music mainstream in the mainstream by, you know, the late President of India, you know what I mean? There's so many. Prime Minister of India. There's, I mean, the fans obviously always sharing their experiences. lot of times it's those that more are my best points, I'd say, when people start discussing, oh, Bally, I was at college or I was at school, मैं फलाने जगह study करता सीगा, जल चले गाना आया, and I'm like, wow, okay, I didn't realize that. They have different stories with different impacts. Like somebody would talk about a slow song, Chura Lia, I met my wife during Chura Lia, Bally, and I proposed to her on your song, and this song takes me back to this journey, and I'm like, I'm the same. With certain songs that I hear, and I'm like, immediately it takes me back to the 80s or us growing up with the wedding scene in the UK when we had the Punjabi bands at the weddings. And that was such an important moment for us, man, because we were so looking forward to apne gaane getting some loud airplay in clubs. Because when I used to play music in the clubs, I remember going to India, man, and they were like, you can't play Indian music in a club, man. We ain't going to want to hear that. I thought, well, I need to change that. Then then I played all my mixes and it was going down really well. There was a time where Indian music wasn't getting the airplay in a lot of places, man. When you go to a party, they were hardly playing apne gaane in a club or somewhere. First of all, we weren't allowed to go into a lot of the early day clubs, the amount of places that we couldn't get into because of our color. You wouldn't get that here, but where we grew up from, we would get that, you know what I mean? Because we were getting a lot of attention from the Gores that wouldn't allow us to do certain things. And growing up in the 70s and in the early 80s, the same thing. I mean, there was so many times I was with my mates and they wouldn't let me go in the club simply because of my color, man. So my friends would go in. And manu andar jaane nahi sika ke mera rang karke. So there was always all these different points growing up in the UK.
One thing I wish I knew before.
This music can work. Do the experiments that I was worried that people are going to like or not, and people that was telling me, don't do remixes, man, you're ruining the classics. And I'm like, okay, fine, then if you don't like them, don't go from them. But there was a hell of a lot of people that were getting into it. So I convinced them, people, that you can like this stuff. But there's one thing you need to remember, okay? There's a big difference between a remix and a cover version, okay?
Yeah.
So people that keep saying remixes, right, they need to get their facts right, okay? There's a difference between a cover. I didn't do a remix of Chura Lia, I did a cover version. So there's a difference when you got the original vocal from the film and you put in some new music on there and doing a remix. So, there's a lot of covers. I did the Shah Rukh Khan remixes from the movies in the early days. I don't do a lot of remixes. I've done a lot of covers.
All right.
Yeah.
One thing that defines me.
Me?
If they ever wrote a book on me, what would be the title?
Believe it or not, I suppose.
The Magic Touch. Or something like that.
Yeah, it's my journey, my life. This is what I mean. It's not been a bed of roses all the way through. I'm not come here overnight, you know what I mean? The way I made my music from day one with the machines, the gadgets I've had, the tape recorders, the cassettes and the scissors to join things. It's not been easy, but I'm glad I had that upbringing because that's what's made me where I am, and I'm really proud of that. I came from the vinyl culture days and I've got a huge music collection.
I still have the vinyls?
Yeah, man. I've got a bedroom bigger than this full of vinyls, man. And I've got 7-inch 12-inch vinyls. And I'm glad I spent all of my dinner money on records. Sanu £2.5 week da dinner money milda siga. मैं वो £2.5 सिद्धा record buy करता सिगा. So rest of the week, it doesn't matter. Roti nahi khani school le, it's okay. So I used to buy records and build my collection up from there from 7 inches. If I was rich, I'd get the 12-inch version as I was growing. But it was average 7-inch records and then 12-inch. But yeah, my music collection grew from there and tape collection grew from there. But that was my upbringing. If I didn't have that, there's no, I was selling fridge freezers in the early days. You know what I mean? I was working at Comet, which is an electrical shop back in the UK. So I was selling all these tape recorders and I was still doing mixtapes in those tape recorders and on the shelves. And I was selling those mixtapes to people. So I had all these things around me, which I grew up with, and that hi-fi systems and, the speaker systems. And I was doing weddings and loading up my van and doing people's biyah shaadi de party. So I'll be loading up the van with my mates and we were doing weddings for £120.
Oh,
yeah.
The good old days. One thing I learned from my kids.
Can't live without them. And they're everything.
Last, certainly not least, what do I want to be remembered as?
The guy that made some amazing music.
Oh, you did. You did, my friend.
That's about it, isn't it?
Some pretty kick-ass music out there. But it's so good to see you after like almost.
Likewise, brother. It's good to be back here in Lahore, man. I've got so many friends here that are all like, why haven't you come here often? I'm like, that's true, Many did, but I should come here. I should come here regularly.
You
So,
should, man, you should.
yeah, and I do want to because I got so many friends here.
I come to London after every 3 or 4 months. So
Okay,
I'm
cool.
there more now. So, but you're in Bali now.
Yes.
So most probably I have to book a flight to Bali and see you over there. I would love to see you perform in Pakistan again.
Chalo kuch kar de apa?
Oh, why not, man? Why not?
I'm here now, kar de. Uni aaj raat nu kar lende yaar.
Have you heard the new Coke studio?
Yes.
Oh,
I love it.
cool.
I love Coke Studio big time from back in the days, man. I've always been ਮੇਰੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ Coke Studio ਲੱਗਾ ਹੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ and it's always there, man. It's a great thing to be watching.
The Ruhail Hayat and now Zulfi is doing it. But would love to see you work in Coke Studio with
Well, a lot of people have been asking me, they're like, why don't you do something? You got 50 plus albums, man. You don't need a whole series, like a week series. I'm like, you know what? Maybe one day I might consider that, man, because some of these epic tracks live on stage,
No,
you never know.
That'll be cool.
Keep watching.
Baijan, Bali wants to work in Coke Studio, so Zulfi. But thank you very much for tuning in, Bali. Thank you so much for taking time. I'd really appreciate it, brother.
Anytime, guys.
I
Thanks,
would
man.
love to see you perform in Pakistan.
Chalo kar de apa.
Let's make it happen. All right. All right, Bhaji. Apna khayal rakho, Pakistan da khayal rakho. Allah Hafiz.